Okay.
Uh,
But that's sort of okay in a way.
yeah,
right?
exactly, because that's not the focus of the movie.
But I think that's also a thing where if the plot is good, if this acting all that works, then I can easily forgive sort of not great CGI. Where like for me, it's a lot harder to have great CGI if the story doesn't make sense, if the characters don't make sense, and all that stuff.
And I actually saw him winning. I haven't watched The Theory of All, and that's a shame.
The Theory of Everything, yeah.
The Theory of Everything, yeah. But I actually saw him winning.
You wanted Benedict
Cumberbatch to win, because he was very great.
Yeah, I heard that. Plays, he's a great actor in general.
He is a very great actor, but he plays this this nerd kind of.
It's funny because in that way it's sort of similar to the role in Theory of Everything.
Yeah, exactly. But I also think that the thing about Oscar nomination is also about playing a character very different than a normal person.
It's often people who have some sort of handicap.
Yeah, so Rain Man and everything. So I think that it might be a no-brainer to the.
I will say I've watched that, and we'll get to that in a little bit. I think I haven't watched the Imitation Game.
No,
he does some great acting in The Theory of Everything. I think it's not just because of that. I was actually really impressed with his acting in that.
Okay, I also think that he's playing very good, but because I haven't watched it, so I can't tell anything about it. Man, The Imitation Game, he's playing very well, and he's a very reflecting person who's thinking about what he says, but he has no. He doesn't need any time to think of it. He just says it, and I think that the thing about taking up the World War II is kind of the easiest way of saying I want to make a book movie. But this time they just made a new side of the story that I haven't heard about, and they focus about the persons in the movie, how they are actually not that great friends, but later on they maybe, I can't spoil anything, but it's going somewhere with that friendship. So I think that if you haven't watched The Imitation Game,
I'm gonna watch it.
It's an absolute.
I was going through all the Oscar films on
movie
on the US iTunes store, and that's one of the few that wasn't there. So it's good. It's cool to watch in the cinema, but it's been easier for me to catch up because I've just been not having a job this week, and then just going through films every night when I was done with streaming and doing other stuff during the day.
I actually saw The Imitation Game the same day that we went to the cinema together and watched American Sniper. That was the same day. So I was all movied up that day.
That's good. All right, that was your last one.
Yeah.
Let's see. One of the things I've written down is Big Hero 6.
Yeah.
That of course I always try to watch all the Disney and Pixar films, and I missed that out in the cinema. But there was also the thing that there's some problems getting it here in Denmark with
it
Danish
came
voices.
out later. Yeah.
And it was with Danish voices someplace and stuff, and I didn't want that. I wanted that original one.
Yeah, that's right.
So Big Hero 6 is the story of I don't remember. Maybe I should look up the character, but it's about a boy who is I think he's like 12 or 13 or 14. His name is Hero, which is very funny. But it's sort of a weird thing where they've taken the city that it takes place is sort of a mix between San Francisco and Tokyo.
Okay.
And it's called like San Fran Tokyo or something.
San Fran Tokyo.
Something like that. Anyway, they've sort of, and it's not like it's built together, but it's like if those cities were just melded together, and it looks like it's placed where San Francisco is, but it's sort of very Tokyo-ish as well.
Okay.
The Golden Gate Bridge is there. Anyway, so it takes place there. Hero is sort of a young prodigy, super intelligent
kind
kid.
Of Dexter.
What?
Kind of Dexter.
I haven't watched Dexter. So
you haven't watched Dexter?
No. I think I'm too old for that.
No, not the.
I know the cartoon.
Yeah, the cartoon. Dexter.
I was.
Me neither.
No, you're younger than me. That's fine. Anyway, but I think he skipped high school or college or something, and he is making sort of these mini robots that's the thing that's in the film where they fight each other.
Yeah.
And he sort of his older brother is working at a university for like technology and stuff, and he's sort of. He gets Hero to go there and sort of check it out because he's not really doing anything with his life, and he's super intelligent. and you sort of feel. I'm not going to spoil a lot of things that happen, but hero gets introduced to that and sort of gets an interest in doing more stuff, and bad things happen as they do, and he, together with other people who work at that school, have to sort of develop some of these things that they were working on into sort of superhero things. There's one of the things that is part of that is also a robot. So it's sort of superheroes, robots, and they have to use these powers that they've sort of developed. It reminds me of DTU we have here, or MIT or some university in the US, where they develop all these crazy tech and science and use that to fight the evil guy. I don't want to spoil any more than that about the story, but I think it was beautiful, super cool art style, great character design. This seemed different, which I really liked. I think the plot is not that great. Again, it has some huge holes in the beginning where I was like, "What?" Like I was really like, "That is not. It's not just that. Okay, overall, this is not great." But I had a couple moments where I was like, "This particular thing is just not good enough."
Yeah. I heard that too. That some criticism about plot holes, and it might try too much to be too many different things.
Maybe
between Transformers.
I don't think that was a problem, and I think if you're 8 or 10 or have a kid or a younger brother or sister,
that's cool.
They will fucking love this. Yeah. This will be their like Power Rangers but cooler because it has superheroes and
it is Walt Disney.
And but I don't think they care about that. But it's superheroes, it's robots, it's cool technology, and I do love that the hero in this, called Hero, funnily enough, is like a nerd tech guy. It's not some athletic guy or whatever. The way they sort of make the nerds look cool, and not like being into films or in video games or something, or comics, but like people who are into science and want to be engineers. I think it's great that there's a film that makes that look cool to kids. But I mean the base plot is fine, but there's too many holes. I think it looked beautiful. Some of the characters were sort of cool, and maybe it was a little bit too much building up to the sequel in a way. I feel like I could totally see this having. I don't know if they're going to call it Big Hero 7 because there were 6 like heroes in their group. But yeah, so I mean, if you're into all the Disney and Pixar films, you probably want to check it out. And I think it's okay. I was entertained enough. I did take my phone out a couple of times, which I think is not a good sign. At home, not in the cinema.
And none of the two things were having either cancer or having a baby.
No. But it was at home. It wasn't in the cinema. But it's just it didn't really keep me. I don't think it's anywhere near recent, other films. I mean, I think Frozen is awesome. I think Wreck-It Ralph was great.
I loved Wreck-It
and like Ralph. Nowhere near like Incredibles or Finding Nemo or anything like that. So it's sort of a step down in that way. So that's sort of sad. But yeah, I think it was okay. I'm a little bit surprised that won Best Animated Picture for the Oscars. That's
it
sort
did.
of part.
Wasn't it the Lego movie?
No, I don't think it did. Did it? Now I'm
think, but I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure.
What I'm saying.
I'm gonna look that up. But I tried.
Oh yes, that's right. That's right, because everybody was actually surprised that.
Yeah, that was also nominated for Best Song.
Yeah, that's right.
So let's see.
That's right. It was.
I actually thought. I thought the one that was gonna win was gonna be How to Train Your Dragon 2.
I also, because you could actually tip who you were, and I also bet my money
on How to Train Your Dragon.
How to Dragon.
I think that's a better film and not as good as the first one of those, but I thought that was and again, the Oscar is not necessarily the best film that wins, but I thought that was also going to be the one.
Yeah.
But anyway, I watched that. Then I also watched, as I said earlier, The Theory of Everything, the story about, of course,
ALS.
And that's what his disease. But of course, I forget his name. I was about to say Roger Ebert, which is not the guy it's about. I'm gonna look it up. But yeah, Eddie Redmayne won for best actor for him. It's about Stephen Hawking.
Yeah.
And you follow him through like from school and like throughout his life. I think it's a super interesting story. And I think this film shows that just because it's an interesting story doesn't make it a great film, because it sort of has I mean, not all films need to follow the same sort of plan for how, there's sort of the sketch or whatever you want to say of how a film should be made, and you don't need to follow that. But it's very clear that it doesn't, and I don't think it works. It's sort of just a list of things that happens in his life.
Maybe a little similar to like we spoke about with American Sniper.
Yeah, but I think even worse, because this just takes from his school and then basically up until today and sort of shows what happens. So so my feeling of watching it was like, there's no goal. When you make a film, you sort of want to have your main character and what is it he needs to achieve.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether that's getting the girl or
and
getting the
turns.
Stuff like that. And that doesn't like, he gets the girl in the beginning. As I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it's like, this life of Stephen Hawking probably. So it just sort of follows that, and it's super interesting, and he's a really interesting character. I've gotten a lot more into him and want to know more.
Yeah.
But I think I'd rather just watch a documentary. Because it doesn't really work. He does great acting. I think she, the lead, does as well pretty good. But I think he is way better than anybody else in that film. And I totally get why he got the Oscar, because he is really great, and it's really hard the way he has to act different parts of his life where he's in different stages of the ALS. But I think it's worth watching. It's I think it's sort of life affirming and inspiring, some of the things, and that's really cool. But also it's a bit slow, and it's like, it depends if you want to watch one of those films. But I think it's an okay film, and
you have to be in the mood.
Or if you
slow down story.
I mean, and you sort of know what kind of film it is. But I mean, he does a great job, and I think it has made me want to know more about Stephen Hawking, because it's really inspiring. Like, he's an inspiring person. I think there's some great stories there. I just don't think the film really is good enough at sort of
to show.
No. It's I think it's it's a great story, but it's not a great film. Sadly. All right. Then I was in the cinema yesterday and watched Kingsman or Kingsmen, I think.
Either way.
It's sort of the superhero, spoof on James Bond sort of thing.
And
Spy.
Kind of I can't remember. What I was saying? Not James Bond.
It was funny because there's a joke in the film where they were like, said something with JB, and it was like, James Bond, Jason Bourne. Oh, the lead gets a dog at one point he has to take care of. And he is like, what's the name of the dog? And it's like, it's JB. And it's like, oh, after James Bond.
Yeah.
It's like, no. Jason Bourne, no. And then the lead is like, Jack Bauer. and I think that actually says a lot about the film. It is sort of trying to make spoofing that a little bit. It's very sort of inside baseball, on the nose, talking about the thing that it is. And also I thought it was funny that all the agents are called JB in that way.
Yeah. Justin Bieber. That's
the fourth one. I would have been even better if he'd been Jack Bauer. No, Justin Bieber. But it follows the lead, who is sort of lower class England. His dad was you see that in the opening, was part of this society of, it's actually very close to the Order in some ways.
Okay.
About this secret society of agents that is there to protect the world,
but much more low key, I guess.
I don't know. It's the same, but the idea here is that instead of all the countries are going to have their own agency, but they're going to be doing what's best for the country. So you wanted one that was international and was going to do what's best for the world.
Yeah.
And they have they're named after Lancelot and stuff like that. There's no Galahad, but
no, that's no Galahad.
but they're named after the classic knights of the Round Table, and then when one dies, you get another one. And his dad used to be one. Now he is selected to try out for it, and you sort of follow him try out. There are 12 younger people who are trying out for it, and you follow that while there's a plot with someone who's trying to take over the world and sort of doing that. And there's some crazy action, which is really cool, and then there's weird comedy, and I think each of those would have sort of worked on their own, but the mix is very weird for me.